To be living elemental is to be living a more balanced life. I'm your host, Sara and the founder of Jade Scott Design. Through my interior design studio and Feng Shui practice, I awaken clients to the idea that their home is just as essential to their well-being as is to their mind and bodies. Essentially, nature's elements create balance and support, and through the lens of home, we can utilize their power when applied intentionally. Through this podcast, it is my intention to open you up to the idea that by living elemental through mind, body, and spirit will have a significant impact on your home and your life. We are talking about the intuitive home. I'm going to share with you 3 methods that you can use at home for finding that inner harmony within. So what does it actually mean to be living intuitively? In this case, we're going to be talking specifically about the home. How can we co-create with our spaces to achieve that inner harmony that we are all craving? I've mentioned intuition and how it's become a huge part of my life and my business, but what does that really mean? To me, Feng Shui is not just how you arrange pieces of furniture in your home. Feng Shui has been dubbed as the art of placement, but that really relates to all aspects of our life, right? Like, how do you place or prioritize things in your life? How do you live? How do you work? How do you play? How do you show up in the world? How do you express yourself, right? The art of placement. Art, by definition, is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. But furthermore, what is imagination? Where does that even come from? Simply put, imagination is the faculty or action of forming new ideas, new images, or new concepts of external objects not present to the senses. And intuition, in some ways, is that sixth sense that we are now realizing we have the ability to develop. And so one way we can develop our intuition is getting quiet enough to hear it. And we can do that by listening to our home. I've touched on it a bit in previous episodes, how our home speaks to us. It's a very gentle voice. We have to hold the intention of listening and getting quiet. Feng Shui is an art that provides us with tools and practices to enhance the positive energy and the flow of our homes, which in turn impacts our life and our work and our health. Feng Shui literally, I don't know that I've ever shared it before, but Feng Shui literally translates to wind, water, because these symbols create gentle flows of energy that are found in nature. And so we can bring that same gentle, energetic flow into our living spaces. In a very simple definition, that is what Feng Shui is and does. But Feng Shui is not just for the home or an office or a business. It truly is a way of living. And I think that the more you practice Feng Shui or living intuitively, because I feel that you can use those 2 terms interchangeably, the more you can steer your life towards a more positive direction, connecting you to inner aspirations and your true source, right? Your highest and best self with a capital S. So I've been podcasting for almost a year now. I'm incredibly proud of myself. Starting this podcast was an intuitive leap. And I've given lots of advice and inspiration to you as a listener. But for today, I just want to let go of all of that for a few minutes. I want to speak to you and your beginner mind. And the reason is because our minds are so active. It's constantly turning a thought. And one of the things I try to be mindful of, even with my own home or my own personal Feng Shui or my delivery of information through the podcast to you, is to remember that I don't have to fix everything at once. Maybe you've been listening to this podcast and every episode you think, oh, I need to fix this or I need to fix that. And I really hope that's not the case, because that's not the goal. Even with just listening, I really only want you to take what resonates deeply with you and leave out the rest. Not every episode requires some sort of action from you. We're really only looking for inspired action, like what makes sense in this moment for me, or maybe listening now, but down the road, something will trigger what you've heard in a previous episode, and it might then make sense to make a change or a shift. And even working one-on-one with clients, I have to remind them to not become overwhelmed with the information I give, that they have to sort of take it slow, let it settle in, stay curious, stay open to receiving further guidance from their own intuition on what next steps should be. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk to you about today. We're going to do a small exercise. You might want to grab a journal, or even if you just have a Post-it note and a pen laying around, that's good enough. You just might want to jot down anything that might come up through this very small exercise. So getting back to a beginner's mind, I just want you to take a few minutes that we have together in this episode and sort of empty out your mind. Everything you've heard me talk about, or maybe have heard from someone else on the topic of Feng Shui, or maybe you read something in a book or on the internet, just let go of everything you know or you think you know about Feng Shui, about placing objects, about clutter. Just let everything go. And just for a few minutes, I want you to get really clear about what is going on in your life. A lot of times we choose to practice Feng Shui when we want to work on something, right? It's like prayer. We pray when we need it, but it's really a daily practice. And so is listening to your intuition. It is also a daily practice. So when we choose to work on something in the moment, when we feel we need something, it's typically something external to us. Maybe it's looking at our finances, finding a new job or career or a purpose in life, fixing our marriage or finding a partner. These are all great things to work on and typically necessary as part of the human experience. But we have to remember that these are external to us. And typically our mind is going to generate endless thoughts about this and support why you want to fix these external nuances. But we know intuition is inner guidance, not external. So just for these few minutes, I want you to take a moment and focus on that inner Feng Shui. We want to find some of that peace and harmony within ourselves just for a few moments right now. And as you get yourself settled down and quiet, I want you to remember that your intuition speaks first. It comes in before the mind can formulate a thought. So staying really quiet, you might ask yourself, where is my focus today? Where has my focus been? What made me even listen to this particular episode today? Is there an area of my home trying to get my attention? Or is there a question on my heart that I haven't been able to fully ask? Maybe I haven't been asking with clarity. Remember, the universe loves very specific questions. So those are just a few example questions to help you get focused. And maybe you had gotten some insight right away. And if you did, that's great. Maybe you got a word, a string of words, maybe even song lyrics, or maybe you just got an image, or you saw a color or numbers. You could have also received a sensation, a feeling, a whisper. One of the things we know about intuition is that the way in which it speaks to you is personal to you. And as you become more aware of it, you'll begin to know and trust that. And if you didn't get anything, that's okay too. If this practice is new to you or you find it difficult to stop the mind from its endless chatter, just keep at it. Become an observer of your thoughts. It's not about stopping them, although eventually you can become free of the mind. But for now, just allow yourself to just be and separate yourself from the thoughts. This is getting a bit more into meditation principles, but that's also part of it. It's also about becoming more mindful. And you can do this throughout the day in your day-to-day activities, just bebopping around your home. So what are some of the ways that our home speaks to us intuitively? And I'm going to share those with you, but really the whole purpose of this exercise is to really get quiet before we reach out to a professional or we start working with the Bagua map. What are the questions you want the answers to? Get really clear about it. I don't want you to just listen to me through this podcast or someone else and start making adjustments throughout your home or your space without first really asking, what is it that I need and want and desire? What is on my heart? What do I really need guidance on? What could I really use some help on? And maybe that's it. Maybe the first question is, what do I really want? Help me see what I need, what I want, what I truly desire. And again, it's separating from those external things. So what are some of the ways our home speaks to us intuitively? One method is through cleaning. I personally used to dread cleaning until I realized that this is my personal one-on-one time with me, myself, and I. That's a me with a capital M. It's one-on-one with my higher self, my intuition. Questions like the one I just asked are the ones I ask before I begin a cleaning routine because I know I'll get my answers, and so I want to be really clear. So it's about cleaning with intention. And really just allowing the answers to come and just being there, being present and listening. For some of you, the first step might be to stop dreading cleaning altogether. And that was certainly true for me. I would complain mostly about cleaning the kitchen or the bathroom, which I think a lot of people can resonate with. But then I realized in my previous home that my wealth corner sat in my kitchen and that bathrooms also represent finances in the home. So why would I want the energy of cleaning up in that area be a negative one? Happily taking care of our home or our space, regardless of what area of life it sits in, brings a positive personal feng shui to the space. Just having the awareness alone offers such a different connection with your home. This is another good reason to work with a consultant, or at the very least, download a copy of the Bagua map that I have available. I'll be sure to put it down in the show notes if you haven't downloaded yours yet. But just simply knowing what sits where in your home can offer you an abundant amount of information of what's going on internally and externally. My second method for connecting with your home is decluttering, or even just organizing or rearranging. Going through some of your items, your objects. What is out and collecting dust? Are there things you're holding on to that you don't really love? Maybe you're holding on to them out of some sort of shame or guilt in getting rid of them. Be really mindful of what comes up here. You might not necessarily be ready to let go of certain things, and that's okay too. But what is coming to you in the moment that you are now giving it your attention? Again, with the specific question you ask or want to ask. So listening through objects is really huge because everything holds an energy, and anything can be speaking to us at any time if we choose to listen. You could also rearrange your space. Is there a piece of furniture or an object that catches your eye or attention constantly and you choose to ignore it and do nothing? If you find yourself avoiding these types of things, these items, these areas of the home, they're most likely, as my mentor Kim calls them, intuitive hits. This is something to pay attention to. And my last method for finding inner harmony at home is setting up a meditation space or an altar space. Somewhere that you can go and connect daily or multiple times a day, if you choose, to find a sense of peace, a sense of groundedness, connectedness, right? This is so essential. I would love to see spaces like this being built into modern homes where it's intentional. You see it in many Eastern cultures where they might have a separate dedicated meditation room or a prayer room or maybe just an outside garden. If you don't have a whole room or outside area to dedicate, you can still achieve this even in smaller spaces. your fireplace mantle, your personal bedroom, or even just your nightstand next to your bed can become a meditation space or an altar space. Your front entry, when you walk in, you're hit with that sense of peace that you're home. You can leave the chaos of the external world outside. And so having this space to connect, keeping it clean and tidy and available to you whenever you want it or need it, just knowing that it's there and waiting for you is so essential to connecting with your intuition and higher guidance. For me, mine is set up in my bedroom, and it is my place of peace. In this home in particular, I have a really nice bay window in our bedroom. So right in front of that, I have my yoga mat, a meditation cushion, I keep my journal, a diffuser, I have a tincture meditation bell, some crystals and malas, and a few other little things. And that's just because I like to change it up. You do not need to have all of these things. If it's at your nightstand, maybe you just have a photo of someone you love and feel strongly connected to. You might have just one of your favorite crystals and a small notepad. If it's at your entry, you could just keep incense sticks there and light them as you come home, to sort of clear your energy a bit before bringing it into the home. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It could even just be your favorite window in your home or a favorite corner cushion on your sofa. Maybe you keep a soft blanket nearby so you can wrap yourself up when you feel you need a quiet, cozy moment with yourself. And so go to these spaces in your home intentionally when you have a specific question that you want some guidance on. And better yet, create little pockets like these all throughout your home. And before you know it, you'll be living in harmony at home with your intuition by your side all day, every day, helping you create the life you want and are meant to live. Your intuition is always there, ever so patiently, just waiting for you. So let me know which of these methods you're going to set up in your space. And if you do set up a meditation space or an altar space, take a picture and tag me on Instagram at Jade Scott Design. I would love to see all your spaces. As I mentioned, if you haven't downloaded your copy of the Bagua, I'll put a link in the show notes so you can grab that. There's instruction on how to lay it for a basic understanding. Some homes and floor plans can be a little tricky, and if that's the case for you, definitely reach out to me to see if a consultation might be better suited for your needs. I actually only have 2 spots available for the remainder of this year, so if you have been contemplating getting your consultation, I do urge you to reach out soon. Otherwise, I'll be opening my books for January in the next few weeks. Since becoming self-employed, I do take the month of December off to plan and get organized for the following year. So one-on-one consultations and new episodes of the podcast will be coming to an end at the end of November. The shop, however, will remain open once I have all the proper paperwork in order from the state. I did receive approval for my LLC formation last week, and so now I'm just waiting for all the tax documents to secure before I can legally do business in Texas, but that should be very soon, at least I hope. Be sure to subscribe and review this podcast as we come to a close this year. I would love to hear what you thought of the podcast and the content that I put out for you. Is there anything specific you want to learn more about? Are there particular guest episodes that you enjoyed and want more of? This is all helpful information for me as I plan content for next year. So please reach out and let me know via a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can email me directly. If you are out of the country, those reviews are not available to me. Analytics tell me that I have listeners in the US, Canada, and Finland. So thank you to all of you out there listening. And again, if you are not in the United States and you want to send me a review, you will have to email it to me so I can see it. Otherwise, I will not. Regardless, your support means so much to me. And until next time, much love and gratitude.